We are living in a day and age when there is an all out war in an attempt to erase Black people from history here in America. Tyrone Bowman Live. I'm starting a brand new segment called Black Profiles, and I'm going to be highlighting and talking about the movers and the shakers of Black men and women and those who helped them to achieve the things that they did and their great contributions to America. Since there is anti Blackness in America and even around the world, and they want to focus on everything negative, well, I choose from now on to deal with everything that's positive concerning Black people. Our young people have lost their way. YouTube and all the other social media platforms seem to be the norm for them to guide them. They don't really know much about the past. They don't know about the struggles. They don't know about the legacies that have been left behind on record. They don't understand about the contributions and the great achievements that our ancestors have made. Well, I have accepted the call to be the preserver of our heritage, our culture, and things that mean uh, greatness to us. So while the media is trying to erase us, tear us down, eradicate us, and try to defame us in every way, well, guess what? It's a new day. It's a new time. I came up and I was raised in a time when our people did great things. But in today's world, they don't know who they are. I'll give an example. They don't know about the scientists, the doctors, the lawyers, the professors, the great men and women who were sharecroppers and the things that they did to survive and to keep Black unity and families together. What about the great Black entrepreneurs? I know a lot of white folk are not going to like this, but you know what? You preserve your heritage, you preserve your legacy, like the Confederate flag down in the South. They proudly display it. Well, I'm going to proudly highlight and talk about us. So today, I'm starting with Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. Yes, we're going to start with her. And who was she? I'm going to be talking about her beginning, her early life and education, marriage and family, her teaching career, the impact in the Daytona Beach community down in Florida, where they seem to don't want to achieve anything positive concerning us. Well, it's about to change. Her career as a public leader, her death and her accolades, along with her personal life, her legacy and honors. So once again, this is Tyrone Bowman Live, and if you happen to like the content, consider subscribing to the channel while I'm talking. So let's get this party started. You know how we do. So who was Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune? She was an American educator, philanthropist, humanitarian, a womanist, and civil rights activist. Dr. Bethune founded the National Council of Negro Women in 1935 and proceeded to establish the Afro-American Women's Journal, which was the flagship journal of the organization. She presided over other African American women's organizations, including the National Association for Colored Women, or the END. Bethune became the first Black woman to lead a federal agency when she was appointed by President Franklin Roosevelt as the secretary to lead the National Youth Council. Dr. Bethune started a private school for African American students, which later became Bethune Cookman University, a HCBU, a university that's not talked about. I'll be talking about the founders of the HBCUs and the legacies that they left behind. She was the only African American woman to hold an official position with the U.S. delegation that created the United Nations Charter. Dr. McLeod also held a leadership position for the American Women Voluntary Services, which was founded by Alice Throckmorton McLean. Bethune wrote prolifically, publishing in several periodicals from 1924 to 1955. After working on the presidential campaign for President Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1932, she was appointed as a national advisor and worked with Roosevelt to create the Federal Council of Current Affairs, also known as the Black Cabinet. And this is important because it was Eleanor Roosevelt who was primarily responsible, and I'm going to talk about her, for advancing the cause of Black people during a time when it was frowned upon, just like it is today. And she is definitely going to be profiled greatly. Honors include the designation of our home in Daytona Beach as a National Historic Landmark, and the 1974 statute as, quote, the first monument to honor an African American and a woman in a public park in Washington, D.C., end quote. And why is this important? Well, you see the climate that we're living in. You see what's happening. I mean, I'm going to spend my time moving forward talking about us in a positive light. And irregardless of their political affiliation, irregardless of where they come from, irregardless of what type of faith or religion they ascribe to during their lifetime, their legacy will live on through me. Dr. McLeod married Albertus Bethune in 1898. The Bethunes moved to Savannah, Georgia, where she did social work until they moved to Florida. They had a son named Albert McLeod Bethune Sr., a visiting Presbyterian minister. Corden Harold, listen, this is a weird name, but I got to pronounce it. Gams persuaded the couple to relocate to Palatka, Florida, Florida, to run a mission school. The Bethunes moved to Florida in 1899. Dr. McLeod ran the mission school and began an outreach to prisoners. Albertus left the family in 1907 and relocated to South Carolina. The couple never divorced, and Albertus died in 1918 from tuberculosis. So let's talk about Dr. Bethune's teaching career. Dr. Bethune worked as a teacher briefly at her former school in Sumter County. In 1889, she began teaching at Haynes Normal and Industrial Institute in Augusta, Georgia, which was part of a Presbyterian mission organized by Northern congregations. It was founded and run by Lucy Craft Laney, who was a Christian missionary and the daughter of former slaves. Laney ran her school with a Christian missionary zeal, emphasizing character and practical education for boys and girls who showed up eager to learn. Laney's mission was to imbue Christian moral education in her students to arm them for their life challenges. Of her years at Laney's school, Bethune said, quote, I was so impressed with her fearlessness, her amazing touch in every respect, an energy that seemed inexhaustible, and her mighty power to command respect and admiration from her students and all who knew her. She handled her domain with the art of a master, end quote. Bethune adopted many of Laney's educational philosophies, including her emphasis on educating girls and women to improve the conditions of Black people. Dr. Bethune's approach added a focus on political activism. After 1 year at Haynes, Bethune was transferred by the Presbyterian Mission to the Kendall Institute in Sumter, South Carolina, where she met her husband. Why is this important? Because beginnings are important, preserving history is important, and making sure that those who come behind us have a positive example to go by. In today's world, they just want to focus on entertainers, singers, dancers, rappers. Those are not my heroes. I'll make it abundantly clear. Because if all they want to do is entertain, entertainment has its place in society, but it is not the impetus for individuals to use as a measuring rod. And you have many athletes that will tell you, don't look up to them as a for moral character, and etc. etc. So after getting married and moving to Florida, Bethune became determined to start a school for girls. Bethune moved to Palatka to Daytona because it had more economic opportunity. It had become a popular tourist destination, and businesses were thriving. In October 1904, Dr. Bethune rented a small house for $11 per month. Would you like to have that today? Rent $11 per month. She made benches and desks from discarded crates and acquired other items through charity. Bethune started the Educational and Industrial Training School for Negro Girls in 1904, as they were called back then. She initially had 6 students, 5 girls, and her son Albert. At this stage, tuition was 50 cents. The school boarded Daytona's dump. She raised money by selling homemade sweet potato pies and ice cream to a crew of local workers, gathering enough to purchase additional dump land. She hired workers to build the brick building Faith Hall, paying them in part with free tuition. By 1918, Faith Hall was completed along with an additional 2-story building and an auditorium. Later, McLeod had another building constructed further from the campus to educate boys who came to the school as well. In the early days of her school, the students made ink for pens from elderberry. You know, elderberry, the thing that herbalists are talking about today. Elderberry is a very powerful herb, and herbalists keep trying to tell people get elderberry in your system. So she made pens from elderberry juice and pencils from burned wood. They asked local businesses for furniture. Bethune wrote later, quote, I considered cash money as the smallest part of my resources. I had faith in a loving God, faith in myself, and a desire to serve. End quote. Get that straight. Let's understand that. Faith in God is primary in anything that you do. Faith in yourself is primary. The school received donations of money, equipment, and labor from local black churches within a year. Bethune was teaching more than 30 girls at the school. After 2 years of operation, 250 girls were enrolled in one of the first HBCUs down in the southern part of the nation. HBCUs are vitally important. And why were they established? Because they understood the needs of our people. And the teachers who taught there were serious about education. Bethune also courted wealthy white organizations such as the Ladies Palmetto Club. She invited influential white men to sit on her school board of trustees, gaining participation by James Gamble of Procter & Gamble. Who would have, quote, thunk it, end quote. Who would have thunk that James Gamble of Procter & Gamble was on the board of trustees of her school? That's a footnote in history. Random Eli Odds of Oldsmobile and REO Motor Company. Isn't that another historical footnote that people don't know about? And Thomas H. White of White Sewing Machines. When Booker T. Washington of the Tuskegee Institute visited in 1912, he advised her of the importance of gaining support from white benefactors for funding, suggesting a few ways of doing so. The rigorous curriculum had the girls rise at 5:30 a.m. for Bible study. Some of the classes in their schedules contained in-home economics and industrial skills such as dressmaking, millinery, cooking, and other crafts emphasize a life of self-sufficiency. Students' days ended at 9 p.m. Soon Bethune added science and business courses, then had high school level math, English, and foreign languages. Bethune always, or Dr. Bethune, as I say, always sought donations to keep her school operating, and would extend offers to wealthy white philanthropists to sit on the board in order to gain favor with them. Dr. Bethune also used her skills as a baker in order to raise money. Her friendship with Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt assisted her in making President Franklin, uh, Eleanor Roosevelt, and President Roosevelt Franklin, and First Lady of the nation, Eleanor Roosevelt, at that time, assisted her in making connections. One of Bethune's more generous donors was John D. Rockefeller, you know, the oil empire magnate, who reportedly provided a donation of $62,000. And in today's world, that might not seem like a lot of money, but back then, $62,000 went a long way. Beginning in 1923, Daytona School merged with the co-educational Cookman Institute run by the Methodist Church. The institute was the first black college in Florida. Dr. Bethune became president at a time when black women rarely headed colleges. The merger, completed in 1925, formed Daytona Cookman Collegiate Institute, a co-educational junior college. Through the Great Depression, the school, renamed Bethune-Cookman College in 1931, continued to operate, met the educational standards of the state of Florida. Throughout the 1930s, Bethune and civil rights advocate Blake R. Van Leer worked with fellow Florida institutions to lobbying for federal funding. From 1936 to 1942, Dr. Bethune had to cut back her time as president because of her duties in Washington, D.C. Funding declined during this period of her absence. Nevertheless, by 1941, the college had developed a 4-year curriculum and achieved full college status. By 1942, Dr. Bethune gave up the presidency as her health was adversely affected by her many responsibilities. On September 1942, she gave the address at the Los Angeles, California launching ceremony for the Liberty ship Booker T. Washington, a ceremony in which Marian Anderson christened the ship. In another video, in another profile, I'll talk about that great contralto, Marian Anderson, who came out of South Philadelphia. And it's important to know these things, ladies and gentlemen, because when individuals feel as though that we do not matter, go back to this video, pull it up, send it to them. Pow! Right in your face. And I like her because she did what they said couldn't be done. She started out of nothing with faith in God and was determined to start a school to teach our people to become self-sufficient. We need to learn how to do that in today's world. We don't have to argue with these people to let us in their school. Start your own school. Start your own institution of learning and teach what you need to teach to preserve us as a people. So now it's time to talk about Dr. Bethune's impact on Daytona and the community. In the early 1900s, Daytona Beach didn't contain a hospital that would take in people of color, as they called them. No matter the situation, Dr. Bethune had the idea to start a hospital after one of her students got appendicitis, I'm sorry, I mispronounced it, appendicitis, and was initially refused treatment at the local hospital. Bethune convinced the doctors to treat her student and left determined to open a hospital. She founded a cabin near the school, and through sponsors helping her raise money, she purchased it for $5,000. In 1911, Bethune opened the first black hospital in Daytona Beach, naming it Bethune Hospital after her parents. It started with 2 beds and within a few years held 20. Both white and black physicians worked at the hospital along with Bethune's student nurses. This hospital went on to save many black lives within the 20 years that it operated. They're not going to tell you that down there because they don't want you to know about it. They want you to think that the only thing that black people can do is sing and dance. Really? Some of y'all got stuff blanked up. During that time, both black and white people in the community relied on help from McLeod's hospital. After an explosion at a nearby construction site, the hospital took in injured black workers. The hospital and its nurses were also praised for their efforts with the 1918 influenza outbreak. During this outbreak, the hospital was full and had to overflow into the children's auditorium. In 1931, Daytona's public hospital, Halifax, agreed to open a separate hospital for people of, quote, color, end quote. Black people would not fully integrate into the public hospital's main location until the 1960s. Bethune made Daytona schools' libraries accessible to the public. It became Florida's first free library, accessible to black Floridians. She hosted a weekly story hour, which hundreds of children from the country attended, and ran a boys' club. Concerned by a lack of affordable housing for black people, Dr. Bethune leveraged her status as president to lobby for impoverished housing for improved housing access. She was appointed to the city's housing board, becoming its only black member, and she successfully pushed for a public housing project built near her school's campus. This is part one. In part two, I'll talk about Dr. Bethune's career as a public leader, her death and her accolades, her personal life, the legacy that she left behind, along with the many honors that were bestowed upon her during her lifetime. Each video will be no longer than 20 minutes at length, or maybe 22 minutes. Why? Because I want people to be able to take in the information, absorb it, think about it, enjoy it, and then archive it. So this way, you'll be able to talk to your children and their children, and so forth and so on. Till next time, Tyrone Bowman, never surrender, never quit.